And Sam Russ is going to be a really big key for the NC State offense this weekend. We've talked a lot about their motto being a home run mindset. Sam Russ is going to be the key hitter at the top of the lineup to set the table for those big hitters coming up to get them in an RBI situation. When you're playing Florida State, when you're playing against somebody like Meghan King, it's really crucial to get a ton of people on base. You see here are her keys to success, using the defense to get her out, keep the ball down in the strike zone, and really utilize a lot of first pitch. You see her working ahead in the count here to Sam Russ.
Count 2-2 here to Sam Russ, and you mentioned needing to set the table. She's the ideal person to turn to. A 19-game on-base streak for Russ, and now the count goes full. Meghan King doesn't walk a lot of hitters. Only 17 walks on the season compared to 93 strikeouts. A good battle here.
This is a good at-bat right here by Sam Russ. The more pitches that you can see in the first at-bat of the game, the more it allows those 2 and 3 hole hitters in the lineup to see more of Meghan King's stuff. You don't want to allow her to get ahead in the count super early and to see really all of her best pitches, and that's a great job laying off of that curveball there up in the zone. Nice at-bat there for Sam Russ.
Absolutely. 7 pitches in total to Russ from Meghan King. And she'll try to reset as their most formidable threat, Bridget Nordberg, will step up to the plate. The infield for the Seminoles includes Sydney Sherrill now at third, Callie Harrod, the shortstop, Ferris and Gordon also rounding things out in the infield. Of course, and a Shelnutt station behind the plate as well. Out in the outfield, Danny Morgan, Mackenzie Herzog, and Elizabeth Mason out in left, center, and right. Quickly an 0-2 count here to Nordberg.
That's exactly what you want to do if you're Meghan King right there. You gave up a leadoff walk, so the leadoff batter getting ahead 0-2 in the count. Really crucial against a really, really good hitter. Arguably the best hitter in this lineup in Bridget Nordberg.
The number 1 home run hitter in the entire ACC. And when you consider how many Seminoles have sent balls flying over the fences, that's a pretty impressive mark, but she comes up empty on 3 pitches there. So Meghan King with a gutsy response after giving up the leadoff walk.
This is a great job by Meghan King right here. Knowing Nordberg's wanting to protect the strike zone, she goes with a rise ball in the outside corner, and that ball is just way out of the zone. Nordberg chases it.
1-0 the count early here to Logan Morris. Morris, one of a number of transfers into this program. She transferred in from USC Upstate. She's originally from Sumter, South Carolina, which is right outside of Columbia. Her numbers on the season, a .282 batting average and a .356 on-base percentage. 7 home runs, 14 RBI. Ahead in the count here, 2-0. Make that 2-1. That ball sent to the ground, and the second baseman, Leslie Ferris, puts her away at first for the fielder's choice, so that will advance Russ into scoring position. So now 2 outs on the board with 1 on in scoring position for the Wolfpack, and that'll bring up Randy Farricker, mentioning the different transfers into the program. She is another one coming in from Arizona State. .226 the batting average, a .255 on base percentage. She takes a big cut there. It's 0-1.
And already you can start to see the NC State hitters really swinging with intent. Every time they take a swing, it is a big swing. They're looking to drive the ball into the gaps and out of the ballpark with every single swing that they take.
Prize ball above the zone, throw down to second, but Russ is back in time. We see Anna Shelnutt, all season Anna, we're calling her now.
Yes, all season Anna. Made a really big name for herself last year, being postseason Anna, always coming up with clutch hits. And so far this year has been pretty consistent in that 8th spot in the lineup.
Some of the animals of Section B over at the baseball stadium have now made their way over to the softball complex. Seminoles baseball team is on the road at Notre Dame, so the K-Time chants in the air in full force at Joanne Graff Field.
Meghan King, normally known as a down ball pitcher, she's using the rise ball a lot so far here in this first inning, looking to take advantage. Sometimes you have to switch up your pitching style to take advantage of big swingers like NC State. So look for her to continue to drive up in the zone. NC State's probably going to want to chase that. Their eyes are going to get really big once they see something coming across the plate at that level. And if you're a pitcher and you put the ball in the right spot, you can really take advantage of that.
Quick chat in the circle as the infield comes in. Now everybody's reset and ready to get back underway. Farraker had to sit out all of last season at Arizona State due to some injury issues and transferred into the ACC. And there's the strikeout look and the breaking ball over the plate for Meghan King. So she walks the first hitter she sees. She strikes out a couple, gets another out on a fielder's choice, but the inning clean for Florida State. Go ahead and take a look at some of the keys for Devin.
Yeah, she's going to really need to make sure that she has command of the strike zone at all times. With a hitting team like Florida State, you don't want to issue any free passes. That's where she got into trouble some last weekend against Virginia Tech. Just eliminate the walks, eliminate the hit by pitches, make these Florida State hitters earn everything that they get throughout these 7 innings.
7 times this season when Florida State has played their opponents, they have put the most runs those opponents have allowed on the board. Breaking ball right out of the gate for ball 1 here. And this is the senior shortstop, Callie Harrod. 424 batting average, 9 home runs, a 543 on base percentage. And Haley, we were talking earlier, that first number and that last number, she's always had pop off her bat, but the fact that she's been so much more consistent, she's the kind of player that can now effectively set the table, kind of like Morgan Clavin was able to last year for Florida State.
Yeah, absolutely. Callie Harrod stepped up and really been just a staple in that leadoff spot, and she's providing so much momentum at the top of that lineup for those big hitters like Cheryl, Carson Gordon, Elizabeth Mason. She's really done an excellent job of stepping into that role.
And so far, there really hasn't been a pitch that has challenged that strike zone. It's a quick 3-0 count to Devin Wallace, who's a transfer out of Coastal Carolina. She was their go-to pitcher in 2018 when she transferred into the NC State program. Through 194 2/3 of their 350 or so innings, she comes away with a strike there to make the count 3-1. But they'll need her to be at her best here today.
Absolutely. She threw an excellent game on that Sunday game against Virginia Tech. Took a tough loss, 1-0, but her stuff was really working well. The key with that, she worked out of a lot of jams, but she was getting ahead consistently on hitters. She was 0-1, 0-2 in a lot of counts there as she issues a walk to Callie Harrod. And you're going to want to try to eliminate those types of pitches throughout the afternoon.
So out of the gates, both starting pitchers give up a leadoff walk. So both NC State and Florida State have the table set for them. We'll take a look at the NC State infield. There's Logan Morris and April Visser, the shortstop, who you see on screen there. Jones, Farraker, as well in the end zone. Wagner is the catcher. But up at the plate now, Carson Gordon. We'll take a look at the outfield as well. Russ out in left, Rizzi in center, and Nordberg out in right. You went from everybody cheering and clapping here after the leadoff walk to being able to hear a pin drop when Carson Gordon steps up to the plate. There's a reason why.
Absolutely.
That ball's going to get away from Wagner, and now a runner in scoring position, and there's that speed from Callie Harrod underneath the tag and in safely at third.
When you want to talk about setting the table, Callie Harrod doesn't get it done with the bat. She draws a walk, not much momentum really there. But in terms of momentum and setting a tone for the first inning, look at this aggressive base running. I love that she's trying to swipe that bag there. Really great slide getting around that tag, getting her hand in there, not being afraid to go head first. And looks like she might be shaking up just a little bit. But I love that aggressive mentality coming out swinging right away in the first inning.
Lonnie Alameda looking on from the Florida State dugout. There has been a general progression, a gradual progression that reached the summit of the softball world this past season with the Women's College World Series title. 512 wins to her record, a 77% winning clip. This has been the dominant program in the ACC going all the way back to around 2013, where ironically they lost the ACC tournament final to the NC State Wolfpack.
Yeah, this rivalry in terms of ACC has gone back multiple years. NC State had a really strong program a few years ago, looking to rebuild it now with a first-year head coach in Jennifer Patrick Swift, but you can't take anything away from what Coach Lonnie Alameda has been able to do year after year. It just seems like they continue to get better. They continue to get more powerful. And one of the things I think that they do such a great job of, comparing them to other programs, is they develop kids so well. Not only do they recruit the top 50, top 100 softball players in the country, they get those kids to get better over the course of 4 years, and not a lot of schools can say that they do that.
Couple of early walks here from Wallace, and Carson Gordon makes her way to first with runners now on the corners. And you mentioned Jennifer Patrick Swift. She will come on out with her husband Patrick Swift, and she'll have a word with her starting pitcher.
Yeah, if you're Coach Swift right now, what you're trying to do is you're probably telling Devin Wallace, hey, trust your stuff, continue to throw strikes, you need to make these Florida State hitters earn it. She's probably a little bit intimidated right now, considering the power and the batting average and all of the statistics that we can throw out about this Florida State offense. But make them earn it. Make them prove that they have showed up today to play. Don't issue them free passes. That just gives them more momentum. And now you've got two runners on base for arguably one of the best hitters in the country in Sydney Sherrill.
A young NC State coaching staff who has already done some really good things. They gave Florida a scare. They beat an Arizona team that Florida State has also beaten. Gave Michigan a scare. These are all ranked teams.
It's a very good program. It's a program that's on the rise, and I really like the direction that Coach Patrick Swift is taking this NC State program.
Once again, falling behind the count here. You're in for a tough day if you can't work ahead in the count against some of these hitters. And another really good one in Sydney Sherrill up at the plate. Highest batting average in the club at .464.
I think that's the pitch that's going to be key for Devin Wallace. It's a drop ball coming in right at the knees with Florida State and the power that they have. Where you can really get hurt with the long ball is if you leave that ball up in the zone. That drop ball, getting that called a strike throughout the game is going to be really key for Devin Wallace to competing in this game.
Carson Gordon on the run to second. And now runners in scoring position for Sydney Sherrill. Carson Gordon, number 3 in Florida State history in stolen bases, picking up another one. The ball up and in, so now a 3-1 count to a really dangerous hitter. What do you go to here? Back to the drop ball?
I would think something lower in the zone because you don't want to give Sydney Sherrill, again, anything up to hit, but you also don't want to put a pitch too over the white to give her something to drive into the gaps either. And if you load the bases here with nobody out, that gives you a forced play.
Ground ball here to the third base side. Herod caught up in a rundown, so Sherrill's going to make her way to second. Gordon makes her way back. And now everybody's back.
Unbelievable play there. Florida State just doing some confusion work on the bases. Everybody's safe. It's an infield single for Sydney Sherrill, and by God, she'll take it. I'm sure that's the easiest infield single I think she'll ever have. You're going to look at this. They're going to throw the ball home. Callie Herod and Carson Gordon are actually on third base at the same time. Carson Gordon goes back to second. Catcher doesn't know what to do with the ball. Sherrill is all the way at second, has to go all the way back to first. There's no throw available. You don't want to risk giving up that run. So now bases are loaded with nobody out for Elizabeth Mason. That was a fun play to watch.
That was a fun play to call. Bases loaded early on for Florida State. Not sure how much fun that was going to be to score in the old-fashioned scorebook. But this is a fun player to watch in particular. .407 batting average for Elizabeth Mason. She catches some, she'll play out in the outfield, and she can absolutely mash the ball all over the yard as she did out in Oklahoma City. She was a surprise breakout player, I guess you could say, her along with Anna Shelnutt late in the postseason for Florida State. But she's the reason why Florida State was even in the Champ Series with that 3-run shot off the Player of the Year in Rachel Garcia.
Yeah, what an amazing home run that was, and to be there in Oklahoma City, that was one of the coolest moments I've seen in World Series recent history, and really just the whole run that Florida State made last year after losing Game 1, getting all the way back into the championship series to begin with, and then taking it from a really good Washington team that a lot of people thought was going to win it all very early on in the year, and they've continued to ride that wave all offseason into the preseason, now into conference play, and it's been really, really exciting to watch as you see Wallace issuing another walk there. 3 walks in the first inning.
And that'll walk in a run for Florida State, so the Seminoles, as they so often have been this season, on the board first. But you don't typically see a team get on the board first without a hit in the column. They'll take it, as you mentioned earlier, any way they can get it. But you mentioned that Washington team. For half the season, they were the #1 team in the country. They looked unstoppable out there, and the Pac-12 is rightfully so. They're so well regarded in terms of softball. The kind of dominant run that UW team was on, kind of shocking to see how Florida State was able to come in, the cardiac kids as they called themselves. And going back to, you mentioned how well UW's played this year as well. One of the teams that beat them was that Notre Dame team that came in here. Ground ball here to the first base side. Will play another run.
Yeah, it's a good job there by Danny Morgan. It's really only the play the second baseman has is going to first there to get that out. But like you said, Florida State's run, it's really about who gets hot at the right time. Washington came out swinging, guns blazing at the beginning of the year last year. Like you said, they looked unbeatable at that point. Florida State really kind of flew under the radar along the way, and they just got hot at the right time. Everything clicked right around that ACC tournament. That I think that walk-off that Anna Shelnutt hit against Pittsburgh in the ACC tournament championship game really kind of set them on the right path, and they really haven't looked back since that moment.
Here's Zoe Casas with a .380 batting average. You mentioned Lonnie Alameda and her coaching staff's ability to develop talent over their time here. This is a player that we didn't hear too much from early on in her career. This year, she's already won a National Player of the Week honor.
Yeah, Zoe Casas she was on fire the week that she took home that honor, and she's been so consistent in this spot in the lineup. She's got a way higher RBIs. Her overall production is just way better than what it's been in years past.
And here's another ground ball. And that will play another run.
And we just talked about her RBI production there. I think Devin Wallace thought that was the third out, maybe wishful thinking, trying to get out of that inning with a little bit less damage. But Florida State's done a good job. They've been patient, knowing that Wallace is a little bit prone to walking people, throwing a lot of balls. They've taken the walks when they've been given them. They're putting the ball in play when they need to. And still without a hit, you've got 3 runs in the first inning.
And that'll bring up a player who is riding a 15-game hitting streak in Mackenzie Herzog, a two-way player for the Seminoles from Missouri City, Texas. Her batting average at .361, 8 RBI with a runner on at third. I guess on a 15-game hitting streak, there's hardly going to be a pitch that you're not going to take a swing at, huh?
Absolutely not. When you're on a 15-game hitting streak, you're seeing the ball like a beach ball. So anything that's even remotely close to that strike zone, you're taking a hack at, and hopefully that luck continues for you as you continue to get hits to fall.
Like so many of her teammates now moving ahead in the count, 2-1. There you see Elizabeth Mason. The Stones throw distance away from the plate. And Herzog lines out to the third baseman. What a play by Morris to stop the bleeding here, in the ability to mash the ball all over yards, all over the country. But they have recorded several no-hitters this season, including back-to-back no-hitters by the Seminoles. I mean, come on now. If you're mashing the ball all over the yard, and then you've got Meghan King throwing the no-hitter that got her some time on Sports Center against Notre Dame. Tremendous story with a young Finn who's battling cancer, who got probably the thrill of her life being down there with the Seminoles. I mean, and then you go right back to it with Mackenzie Herzog and Kara Bilodeau with a no-hitter of their own a couple days later against FAMU.
This Florida State team is just so tough to beat. They can beat you in so many different ways, and we've seen them mash the ball. We talk a lot about their offense and their production there with the long ball and doubles and triples, and you see them today getting walks and getting on base. But if you get into a pitcher's duel, there's a good chance that Florida State still pulls that out because you've got players like Meghan King, Mackenzie Herzog in the circle. Absolutely incredible. This team is just very, very tough to beat.
You can start to get the vibe as Meghan King records another strikeout as Skylar Johnston, the DP, goes down swinging. You can start to get the vibe. It's kind of that same mode that Oklahoma got themselves on, that Florida got themselves on, where they could win in any number of different ways, and they won with regularity, and they've made trips to OKC the norm rather than a hope or an aspiration.
Right, and I think you can see that in the body language that Florida State carries themselves with, especially early on in this season. They just go out and you can tell that they expect to win every time they step between the white lines, and that's a very tough mindset to get to, I think, for everyone on the roster, but they've done a great job, and that starts at the top with that amazing coaching staff and Coach Alameda, Travis Wilson, and Craig Snyder. I mean, they've done such a great job of really attacking that motto of defend nothing. They can't take that away from us, but attacking everything. That's kind of been their motto all year, and they've really shown it.
Angie Rizzi stepping up to the plate, and there you see more of that hard swinging mentality that NC State has. We'll talk more about that later on. The count 1-2 to Rizzi. Meghan King looking for her 4th strikeout in 5 hitters faced. Hands came forward.
Meghan King's absolutely coming out on fire right now. Again, she's going up in the zone a little bit more than you would often see from her. But again, if you're NC State and your mentality is to hit the long ball a lot, you're going to be prone to more strikeouts. And we've seen that in their lineup, and that's what's happened today. When you take a big swing and you don't make contact, there's a good chance you're not going to make contact at all.
NC State really, when it comes to hitting the long ball, they're with the best in the country in that department. But as you mentioned, the batting average sitting down around 244, whereas for Florida State it's up in the 300s overall as a team. And that's when you put together some of the players who come in with just the occasional at-bat and they strike out and they sort of pull that team batting average down for Florida State. You look at their batting averages through the starting lineup, 400s, 300s, 444, 380, 360, and then a couple in the 200s. But for NC State, they're going to take their opportunities, and they've connected on plenty of them.
Absolutely.
But the batting averages and the numbers that you would necessarily associate with your traditional values or virtues of what you're looking for from your, I don't want to say vanilla offense, but your run-of-the-mill offense,
right,
you're not going to see with this team.
Exactly. Florida State, I think that's just a testament to mindset. What mindset do you want? Clearly, Jennifer Patrick Swift has said it's a home run mindset where it's kind of an all or nothing mentality. Florida State a little bit more, I don't want to say conservative, but they're going to want to, they're okay with getting singles through the 5-6 hole in between first and second base, up the middle. They're okay with getting a double and a gap versus it just being constant around that home run.
Natalie Jones with the 2-2 count here for Meghan King. And she'll step back in. Jones hitting 208, and there's another strikeout for Meghan King, her 5th in 7 hitters faced.
Jennifer Patrick Swift, her whole goal from the start, from leaving St. Francis, was to bring over this hashtag home run mindset into this program at NC State. And from the beginning, she hasn't had any trouble. Her girls bought in from the beginning at 100%, and from there, they've focused on attacking their home run zone. Zones in which they don't really want to swing outside of that zone, but when that ball crosses that zone, you want to swing as hard as you can, and that's what you see here on the field today.
Yeah, absolutely, Tucker. We have seen, as you mentioned, they swing with a purpose, and they really narrow down your typical strike zone into a narrower zone where they feel like they can absolutely send one over the fence.
Absolutely, and so far this season it's worked for them. Against a pitcher like Meghan King, it's obviously going to be a little bit more difficult to implement something like that, but when they swing and they make contact, that ball's going a long way, like you said, simply because of the intent of every swing that they take.
And the numbers, they speak for themselves. St. Francis led the NCAA in home runs last year. NC State, the specifics on it we'll get to in a second, as Anna Shelnutt with her .268 batting average sends a high fly ball out to left field. She's got a home run mentality as well.
And you want to talk about all season Anna. What an absolute bomb this is from Anna Shelnutt. Devin Wallace is going to miss on a pitch. It's a little bit too over the white. Anna Shelnutt just takes advantage of it.
Home run number 51 for Florida State and number 5 on the season for Shelnutt.
Look at that beautiful swing there by Shelnutt. Does an excellent job of keeping her hands inside that ball, getting just enough underneath it to send it out of here.
But NC State last year had 35 home runs as Ferris will try to beat a throw into first. Nobody covering the bag, and now she'll turn for 2. Natalie Jones had to scamper over from second to cover the open bag. Got there late, could not make the catch. And just like that, a home run and now a runner in scoring position on an infield single.
I love this mentality from Leslie Ferris. You're the 9-hole hitter. Your job is to turn the lineup over, get it to the big hitters, Callie Hare and Carson Gordon. Anna Shelnutt just hit a home run. The very next pitch, you lay that down and beat them with the speed. That is an awesome, aggressive attitude from Leslie Ferris.
And as you mentioned, the order turns over. Callie Harrod walked back in the first. And if you blinked your eyes, you missed her stealing 2 bases. Got to third immediately and is now quickly ahead in the count again, 2-0. 25 RBI. And she has Ferris in scoring position. 2-1.
You see Wallace continuing to try to work that down zone, that drop ball over on the outside corner. Really getting this out here is going to be key for her. You don't want to allow Ferris to move over to third base, so you want to get Callie Harrod to pull the ball maybe towards the left side, keep Leslie Ferris at second, and try to get yourself out of this inning. So look for her. She's setting up an outside pitch now. Look for her to come inside with this 3-1 pitch.
And Harrod, as I mentioned, walking back in the first. On-base percentage now up to .547. That'll do quite nicely. And she'll walk for a second time today. And here's the thing, too. Callie Harrod's steals, her RBIs, all that good stuff. She's making her way up FSU's lists, but she's lower than you might expect her to be for a player with the kind of power that she has, because she didn't have the consistency early on in her career that she's showing now. She's making up for lost time and then some, getting on the base paths to be able to steal them or to be able to drive in runs at the plate. That requires good quality at-bats, which early on were kind of hit or miss with her. But as we mentioned, huge step forward for her.
Absolutely. She's done so many great things for this program. She's been a consistent hard worker for this team, and I think this year and really even towards the end of last year, it's just a testament to the work that she continues to put in and day out. It just goes to show you this game is a game of failure, but this is a game that also knows the work that you put into it outside of it. So if you're practicing constantly, you're getting extra reps, you're doing what you need to be doing in the weight room and things like that, the results are going to happen on the field for you, and I think Callie Harrod is a really big testament to that.
And you bring in a great crowd on a Friday during spring break to watch a conference softball matchup, too. That's what winning can also do for you.
Absolutely. And you can hear this crowd every time Devin Wallace gets behind in the counter, every time Florida State steals a base, gets a hit, whatever it might be. They're into it. They know the game. They're knowledgeable around the game. And you got to think the defending national champions are probably pretty fun to watch, too.
Carson Gordon swung at ball 4 there, and you mentioned the national champions. They've got the banner hanging from their hitting facility. A new scoreboard is in the works here as well. Exciting times for the softball program as Carson Gordon, like Callie Harrod, picks up her second walk in as many innings here today. Bases now loaded for the second time for Florida State, and it's Sydney Sherrill who will step up for the Seminoles.
You see 5 walks in 2 innings from Devin Wallace. This is not a position that you want to be in with Sydney Sherrill up to bat with the bases loaded.
First pitch swinging Sherrill. Throw comes home, and the Wolfpack gets the force.
That's a big time out there if you're Devin Wallace. Using the defense, that ground ball, getting those ground balls for Florida State to hit into that. That's going to be a key to her staying in this game and continuing to compete. And if you can get Sydney Sherrill out, you got to like your chances against the rest of this lineup.
That ball bounced to Jones, who makes the play at third. Crowd not pleased with the call, but that does bring in another run.
Well, we talked about the crowd being a little bit biased towards. I think they're so used to Florida State being so successful that they're not even paying attention to the run score. They're paying attention to the out being called at third base. So passionate about the game. Absolutely love it. But that was a really good play over there by Natalie Jones. It's really the only play she had. That ball was taking her up the middle. The only play she had was over there to third base. She fires it. Really smart move there.
That's 2 really good plays in a row by the middle infielders, and you like to have that strength up the middle. And when you consider the fact that the Wolfpack have turned to a freshman at short in Visser, she's been sharp already. I mean, the first inning with Florida State, the first couple of outs were ground outs that she was able to put away over at first. But as a freshman on the road, taking on the number 4 team in the country with a big resume-building series perhaps on the line, Visser's been money, and that was a great play also, as you mentioned, by Jones at second. But strength up the middle for the Wolfpack, who've been trying to limit the damage, but they'll need their pitcher Wallace to get ahead in the count as she is here and to capitalize on it. Still ahead 1-2.
Good work. Stay long right there.
That ball tap foul as Lonnie Alameda continues to look on. Runners on at first and second. It's Sherrill at second, Elizabeth Mason at first. And Danny Morgan up at the plate facing a 1-2 from Wallace. A big strikeout for Wallace, who limits the damage here in the second inning, but 2 more do come across from the Seminoles, and all season Anna leaves the yard once again. It is 5-0, number 4, Florida State. They're charging for tickets here at the Seminole Softball Complex, so more and more opportunities for a sellout, and the tickets are in hot commodity out here. Lots of folks in the complex, so a lot of folks turning to the shade of the nearby Spirit Way parking garage. Those seats behind the plate are all season-long tickets, and with this being a Friday, people coming in off work, they'll gradually fill in. But the way Florida State's operating, there might not be enough time for them to get here off work on a Friday. We'll see how that goes as the Seminoles come back to the circle to have another chat. Kelly Wagner, the catcher. She'll be hitting out of the 8th spot for the Wolfpack.
It's a really big inning here for NC State. You really want to get some momentum going. You've got a lot of strikeouts in everyone's first time through the lineup facing Meghan King. You want these 8 and 9 hole hitters in Wagner and Visser to be able to put some runners on base for those big hitters at the top of the lineup.
Check swing from Wagner. The count goes 1-1. But this could be a good place to start. Yeah, she's a freshman. Yeah, the batting average is at .211. But out of all these Wolfpack hitters, she's one of the ones that has more even of a walk to strikeout ratio. So she's shown that she has a pretty solid eye at the plate. But a 1-2 coming, and the hands come forward. It's the same result another time over.
And Meghan King continuing to work that rise ball. It's very effective against these NC State hitters, especially when she's doing a good job of getting ahead, but you see that ball just jumping right out of the zone. Very tough as a hitter to lay off of if you're trying to protect with 2 strikes.
2 1/3 in, only 37 pitches for Meghan King. And the first pitch to April Visser is another strike. Visser adjusting to the D1 level, getting her first taste of conference play as a freshman from Utah. We go back to her high school days, was hitting .523 over her career in high school. So that fits that home run.
That's pretty good.
That fits that home run mentality or that home run mindset that NC State's looking for. And there's one of those big aggressive swings. But that's 3 pitches and another out. 40 pitches in total, and Meghan King is well on her way to getting through 3 innings pretty clean here.
The efficiency of Meghan King right here is remarkable. A 3-pitch strikeout, gets ahead with 2 balls down on the zone, and then I sound like a broken record here, but continuing to go up in the zone when she gets 2 strikes, and NC State having a really tough time laying off of that pitch.
It's a high fly ball, but popped up into shallow left field. Danny Morgan comes on to make the play, and on very few pitches, Meghan King able to retire. And now you're getting to see Meghan King, who played really well last season out in OKC. What adjustments do you make now that you've seen her once in person at the plate?
Well, I think the biggest thing is we got to make hitting simple. I think we're going up there, we're guessing a little bit, and that's causing us some problems. So just got to keep it simple, see a pitch in our zone, and take our swing, and we should be better off.
And, Coach, what are you looking to see from Devin Wallace here as you get into the 3rd and 4th inning?
We've just got to attack the zone. Obviously, when her stuff's in the zone, it's working, it's producing ground balls. When she misses, it's either misses wide or obviously we gave up 1 flat. But I like what she's doing. She's just got to attack more.
All right, Coach, thank you so much. We'll let you get back to the action.
Thank you.
All right, so that was Jennifer Patrick Swift, first-year head coach at NC State. She came from St. Francis, where led them to a couple of NCAA tournaments in a row with that same mindset. So it works. It's just going to take her some time to get that mindset, to get those players where she wants them, and to try to build what she has. And already, as we mentioned, with some of their non-conference showings, some of the close losses in non-conference, some of the wins in non-conference, they're on the right track.
Yeah, this is definitely a program that's headed in the right direction. They have a lot of new pieces this year. You've added a lot of talented freshmen. You've got a lot of transfers coming in as well. So getting everyone to buy in, I think, is great. And she's clearly done a good job of that. But it's just going to take some time, I think, for them to be a program where you're getting consistent recruiting in year after year, getting consistent production year after year. I think they're well on their way. It just might take a little bit more time for it to gel.
2-0 count here to Zoe Casas. That ball sent opposite field and peeling foul. She grounded out back in the first, but would plate a run with the bases loaded. Her on-base percentage at .419 despite that ground out. So Zoe's doing just fine.
Just fine.
Just fine. Comes the 2-1. Taken down low. Can the Seminoles lead off their 3rd straight inning with a walk? No, they cannot. That ball bounced to the first baseman, and that's exactly, I think, the adjustments that Coach Patrick Swift is wanting to see as Farraker is able to step on the bag. 1 up, 1 down, and now you can really get your teeth into this Florida State order and try to make quick work of it.
Yeah, absolutely. Getting a leadoff batter out is huge for any team in any inning, but especially when you're down 5 runs in the 3rd, in the bottom of the 3rd with a tough-hitting team like Florida State, getting that leadoff out is so crucial.
And how about one
getting
pitch?
The first 2 outs.
Yeah, I was going to say, 1 pitch and another out here to Mackenzie Herzog. I mean, Florida State's plated 5 runs, but it's come on 2 hits. So Coach Patrick Swift has made a great point in, hey, gave up the one big fly, but other than that, not really giving up much.
Exactly. She's not giving up a lot of hits. She's issuing a lot of free passes with the walk. She's got 5 so far here in the game, but this inning you can tell she's really made a great adjustment going right at these hitters. Yes, she did get behind in the count to Zoe Costas, but made a really good drop ball pitch on a 3-1 count. Got Mackenzie Herzog out with the first pitch of her at bat, and now you're dealing with Anna Shelnutt.
Anna Shelnutt, the young lady responsible for one of those couple of hits, the solo home run back in the second over the left field wall. 278 batting average, 337 on base percentage. Her second time up at the plate in 3 innings. Can Wallace make quick work of the or will Shelnutt stay alive? Count goes 2-1. Shelnutt's another one. If she sees anything near that zone, she's going to take a swing at it. So.
Yeah, Anna Shelnutt's definitely one of those hitters with that home run mindset. I know we've talked about it for NC State, but when Anna Shelnutt swings, you can see that there is a purpose behind it. There's an intent behind it. And her numbers have been so much more consistent this year, hitting in the 8 spot pretty often. She's really a threat anytime that she steps to the plate, and you can't say that about a lot of 8-hole hitters. But she's got the ability to take the ball deep, any count, any pitcher, anytime.
Waltz has done a good job of battling back on Shelnutt here, working the count back full after Shelnutt worked ahead in the count primarily. So here comes a payoff pitch. The ball grounded through the gap into left. A 2-out base hit for Anna Shelnutt. She's 2 for 2 today.
That's a really good piece of hitting there by Shelnutt. You see her fouling off some pitches here and there. She gets to a full count, works the count, sees a lot of pitches, and then is just able to get enough on this ball to get it right through the 5-6 hole.
And that'll bring up Leslie Ferris, who followed up that Anna Shelnutt home run with an infield base hit. A beautiful bunt down the first base side. And those are the 2 hits Florida State has. Now the 3 with Anna Shelnutt going through the left side. But these are the 2 players, the 8 and 9 hitters in the order, that are responsible for the hits on the board.
It's not too often you see a home run and a bunt be the first 2 hits of a game, especially with 5 runs being scored on the board. But
well, we talked about the diversified Florida State attack.
They can beat you in so many different ways. We've seen them use speed. We've seen them use patience at the plate. We've seen the home run power from Shelnutt today. And then again, if you get into a pitcher's duel, you've got Meghan King in the circle. That's just a recipe for a win.
And we'll see what NC State's able to do. You mentioned that Game 3 loss to Virginia Tech. Yeah, they got swept, but first of all, Virginia Tech's a really good club. Top 25 team, and the ACC is getting a lot better every single year. But on top of that, that third game against NC State, a 1-0 loss, there were some lopsided results earlier in the weekend. So this is a Wolfpack team, very intelligent. They're able to learn from their mistakes. They're able to make the adjustments. And I would assume that by Sunday, as Ferris goes down swinging and we have a much more efficient inning from Wallace, that the Wolfpack are going to figure some things out here against the Seminoles. But for now, through 3, the score 5-0 Florida State. As we head to the top of the 4th, we'll chat with Lonnie Alameda when we come back.
From the hitters adjusting off of Devin Wallace, I know she's thrown a lot of walks, but how do you want to see them adjust getting quality bat on ball?
Yeah, I mean, we need to see the ball up a little bit, and she's inducing the ground balls like she's supposed to, so we got to get the ball up a little bit and, kind of make some adjustments there. So a few base running blunders, but, confident that we'll do it. We usually make adjustments through games, so look for the challenge for our offense to make that happen.
All right, Coach, thanks so much for the time.
Thank you.
All right, so we're set to get back underway here in the top of the 4th. Meghan King and her infield exchanging some pleasantries while Coach hops off the mic. Tell you what, whenever Coach Alameda decides that she's done coaching, and I think there's a lot of people around the country, maybe aside from some other teams in the ACC, that hope that it's no day soon. She's going to make one heck of an analyst, too.
Oh, absolutely. Her mind, the way that she thinks the game, is second to none. And I've been around a lot of college coaches in my time with Alabama and with the national team, just hearing how other people think the game. She's top notch, without a doubt. Her knowledge, and she really gets that out of her players as well. I think some of the players that have graduated out of her program are the best at thinking the game and kind of playing that game within the game, so to speak.
And Coach, as the players like to call her, works very closely with her pitchers. Works well with everybody, but works really closely with her pitchers. And you look at the line of pitchers that Florida State has enjoyed, the embarrassment of riches that you could say that they've had, going back to Lacey Waldrop, who was the National Player of the Year when she was here. Jessica Burrows, who did everything but win a World Series herself. And then you go last year with Kylie Hansen and Meghan King, the 1-1 punch. And lost in how well Meghan King pitched in OKC was how well Kylie pitched to get them to OKC. And now Kylie Hansen now graduating from the program, and we're seeing another wave of young Seminoles coming in as Meghan King prepares to make her exit as well.
It just seems like it's punch after punch after punch with this Florida State team and how they throw in the circle. And Coach has done a really good job of getting, like I said, the top-notch players there, the top-notch high school pitchers there, but they get better over the course of 4 years. And we're seeing that especially with not only Meghan King this year in her 5th year, but those younger pitchers, Mackenzie Herzog, Catherine Sandercock, they've got really bright futures ahead of them.
Tell you what, that's one heck of an adjustment from Bridget Nordberg. A good at-bat, working the count full and earning the leadoff walk against Meghan King. Nordberg, who struck out on 4 pitches in her first at-bat, flips the script, and now after making quick work of the Seminoles in the bottom of the 3rd, the Wolfpack have somebody aboard here, top of the 4th. So a momentum shift. A small momentum shift, but a momentum shift indeed here in Tallahassee as Logan Morris, who grounded out in the 1st, steps up to the plate. Ahead in the count with a runner aboard.
I think if you're NC State, you'll take any momentum shift, no matter how big or how small at this point.
And so with the 2-0 count here to Logan Morris, Meghan King hits the reset button. Now Morris is a player who I mentioned she transferred in from USC Upstate. Back when she was a freshman last season there, played in 52 of 54 and earned a start in 51. So she has been an impact player from the drop wherever she's been at USC Upstate and now also here at NC State.
And you see her taking a big swing there. That was a really good pitch there by Meghan King. A little bit over the white. That's a pitch as a hitter you want to take advantage of. And Morris just misses it.
Strike called inside on Morris. The count goes 2-2, but back to Morris. She was a unanimous selection to the ASUN All-Freshman team last season as well. As she's popped that ball up off the end of the bat into foul territory, and Cheryl ranges over and gets underneath it to retire Morris.
And this isn't the result exactly that Morris wants, but it's still an adjustment from the last at-bat. You're not seeing a ton of swing and misses. Yes, she swung and missed one time in that at-bat, but that was a rise ball that Meghan King has consistently gone to with 2 strikes so far in this game. And Morris makes contact with it. She just misses it and gets a pop-up to Sydney Sherrill, but you can see the adjustments that NC State is making their 2nd time through the lineup.
That'll bring up the first baseman, Randy Farricker, who struck out back in the 1st. As you mentioned, the swings and misses. When she played at Arizona State before getting hurt in 2018, was the co-leader on the team amongst all freshmen with 15 hits in 2017. So there's a common trend with a lot of these transfers that come in. They take their swings, they connect on their fair share, and they at any point in time can spark this offense. As Coach Patrick Swift puts the pieces of the puzzle together, that's not the piece that she was looking for. A strikeout on 3 pitches by Randy Farricker. And that'll bring up the DP today, Skylar Johnston. And another first pitch strike from Meghan King.
You've seen the last couple of batters take advantage, at least try to take advantage of that first pitch strike that Meghan King throws. I think that could be a key for NC State if they're going to get back in this ball game. Typically, the first strike that you see as a hitter is going to be the most flat pitch, the best pitch to hit. And I'd like to see a little bit more aggression out of that, especially the bottom part of their lineup as we get towards it.
1-2 the count to Johnston, who transferred into the program from Fordham. Won a couple of A-10 championships there, made a couple of trips to the NCAA regionals. She lays off the pitch upstairs, it goes 2-2. But Johnston, going back to her time at Fordham, first team All A-10, was on the All-Rookie team when she was a freshman. Highly decorated, now making her cuts in the ACC against a top 5 team.
That was a good job by her on the previous pitch of laying off that rise ball. She gets a pitch right there that's over the wide of the plate. Just a little bit late on it. Meghan King does throw the ball very hard. It's difficult sometimes to get your timing down. Good job there as well by laying off that up pitch again with a full count. You got to think King is probably going to bring something a little bit more closer to the zone. Johnson's going to try to take advantage of it.
She'll stay alive here. She fouls that one back. Again, as you mentioned, lower in the zone. For Meghan King, she struck out 8. Has only walked 2. She's trying to crack the code here on Johnston with 2 outs on the board and a runner aboard for the Wolfpack. And speaking of Johnston, one of the reasons she came to NC State, which she listed specifically on her bio, the hitting philosophy.
That's awesome, and that's just a testament to, you said there are a lot of transfers and new faces in this program, and it's a lot of kids that have had previous success at other schools, but understanding, I'm going to go to this program, I'm going to fit in, I want to hit home runs, I want to hit the long ball. I think I would mesh really well with this coach, and I think that's a tribute to their early success.
We've mentioned the adjustments, and Florida State up 5-0 on NC State here in the bottom of the 4th inning. The Seminoles offense about to head back to the plate. And Devin Wallace really settled in and had her best innings work yet, working ahead of Seminole hitters. Did allow 1 base runner, but made quick work of a couple. Actually retired a couple of Seminoles on 3 combined pitches between Shelnutt and Herzog. And now she'll get back to work here. And there you see the numbers. Through 3 innings, 65 pitches. Has walked 5. That's the big story in addition to the 3 hits. And has struck out a couple. But Wallace, if you go back to March 5th, she was named the ACC Player of the Week by the College Sports Madness publication. She pitched 19 innings, only gave up 2 earned runs, struck out 23, and had an ERA that week of .74.
Can't do much better than that. She's got so much talent. She's got really good stuff. Again, the key for her is just making sure that she has command of that strike zone. I think when you have a pitcher and you come from, especially if you're at NC State now, she came from Coastal Carolina, she's probably used to getting a lot of hitters to swing and miss at some of those pitches that are a little bit more out of the zone. The more elite level that you play at, hitters aren't going to chase as many things, so you've got to work to get those outs with stuff that's over the plate, get hitters to swing at it. And she settled in really nicely. I really love how resilient that she's been in the circle so far. Going the 3rd time through the lineup now.
Three-0 count here as we're back at the top of the Seminoles order, and Callie Harrod lines that ball down the line, and that just missed being an extra base hit by about an inch.
And Callie Harrod, she's got 2 walks today so far. That's a 3-0 count. You know she wants to hit. She gets a pitch that's right down the middle and just misses a double down the left field line. Right over the heart of the plate, right over that glove of the third baseman. Just a hair foul. It's a game of inches.
And now she earns another walk. So 3 walks for Callie Harrod here today. And the 6th one given up for Devin Wallace. And you mentioned her resilience and continuing to battle away here. You'd imagine with her getting the start today, she'll also get the start Sunday. So the more she sees these Seminole hitters, even if it doesn't necessarily work out in NC State's favor today, the better for them whenever she heads back in the circle on Sunday.
Yes, I think they've already proven that they're very good at making adjustments. There's a nice stop over there by Visser, but Carson Gordon's going to reach base. I think they've done a good job making adjustments at bat to at bat, whether it's offensively or defensively. But like you said, the more comfortable I think that you can get playing, especially on the road at a top 5 program, you know, obviously that Friday night game is going to have a little bit of butterflies. You're going to hear this crowd get a little bit hostile towards you. They're obviously not cheering for you. And I think that can affect the way that you come out and play on Friday. But moving forward to Saturday and Sunday, I expect them to adjust to that.
I'll bring up Sydney Sherrill, who's 0 for 2 today with a couple of fielders' choices. And going back to Visser, diving on that ball, stopping it from getting out into the outfield. With the speed of Callie Harrod, probably saved a run there for the Wolfpack.
Absolutely. I love to see that effort as well by NC State. It could have been very easy for Visser to just let that ball get to the left fielder, but she decides, no, I'm going to lay out, I'm going to make a play for my pitcher, I'm going to keep the ball in the infield. And show the rest of my team, hey, we're still in this. Yes, we're down 5-0, but we're fighting, we're battling.
That's a freshman who's not going to be losing that spot over there at short anytime soon.
Absolutely not. She's a gamer, she's a player, she's competitive.
Back to Sherrill, ahead in the count now, 3-1. A chance for Florida State to really do some damage here. Runners on at first and second. A 3-1 count. And that played by Visser. She looks off the runner, so Harrod and Gordon stay at first and second. And Sherrill continues to be 0 for today. But that'll bring up Elizabeth Mason. And here's the thing. When you're looking at this Florida State lineup, the hits literally just keep on coming. Big pitches, big at-bats, not just from the Florida State side of things, but especially from Wallace's side of things, is Elizabeth Mason, who's 0 for 1 today. With the fielder's choice back in the second and an RBI. But there's so many insanely good hitters in this Florida State order that for Wallace, just facing this Florida State order, you're going to face a handful of the top hitters in the country in one day.
Yeah, absolutely. And oftentimes when you see pitchers, they usually get a break, quote unquote, in the lineups between hitters 7, 8, and 9.
And that flip's going to plate another run. Defense starting to come apart. The wheels starting to wobble here for NC State behind Wallace.
And that's just a tough play over there by Farricker. This ball is going to kick off her foot right here. And if I'm Farricker at this point, I'm just holding the ball. Elizabeth Mason's probably going to beat this out, but instead you toss it away, and that allows another run to come across for the Seminoles and Callie Harrod. Farricker just needs to hold on to that ball there, eliminate that damage.
A couple of errors ruled against Farricker there, the fielding error and then the throwing error. So now 3 for NC State today. A couple there as Wallace works it down in the zone against Danny Morgan.
And we've talked about the batting averages, the long ball, the offensive production from this lineup, but really today it's been the walks and the errors. Outside of Anna Shelnutt's home run, that's really the only true power swing that we've seen from Florida State today. Everything has just kind of been NC State really not clicking on all cylinders from a defensive standpoint. And with a fast team like Florida State, they're going to take advantage of that. They're going to put pressure on you. And that's why we see them have 6 runs on just 4 hits.
2-0 the count to Danny Morgan. And That'll get the crowd on their feet.
Danny Morgan, we just talked about it. Haven't seen a ton of power swings today from Florida State, and right on cue, Danny Morgan sends this ball to the scoreboard. Devin Wallace leaves this pitch just a little up in the zone. Morgan puts an amazing swing on it. And now Florida State's got a 9-0 lead, threatening the run rule here against NC State. And this pitch, look at this beautiful swing. She drives this ball, keeps her hands inside it, takes it opposite field. And Devin Wallace wishes she could have had that one back.
And that'll bring up the DP, Zoe Casas, who's 0 for 2 today, batting average at .370, on base percentage at .414. Count now 1-1 to Casas.
For Devin Wallace right here, this is a really big out. You never want to give up anything back-to-back, so you just had a home run hit off of you. Getting this next out is crucial to kind of stop the bleeding and get some momentum back on your side.
That ball make its way all the way to the backstop. Count 2-1 here to Casas. Farricker once again, the struggles continue, but this time she keeps the toe on the bag as she makes the reach. 2 down.
That was a good job there, just sticking with the play. Zoe Casas, and really all of these Florida State hitters, the ball is going to come off the bat hot. That was a good job there, gathering herself and getting the out.
So the Seminoles up 9-0 now here in the bottom of the 4th. And that'll bring up Mackenzie Herzog. Actually showed bunt there. Took strike 1.
Mackenzie Herzog's one of those hitters that we call a triple threat. Can lay down a bunt, can slap, can also hit for power. Coupled that with her speed as an outfielder, and she can throw it a little bit in the circle as well. Really just a true utility player for this Florida State team.
That ball pulled down the first base line. It's 0-2 to Herzog. We mentioned the 15-game hitting streak. On top of that, has also recorded a hit in 19 of her last 20.
I'd say she's adjusting to college pitching pretty nicely.
And then when she pitches, she combines for a no-hitter.
That's a special kid. Florida State's really excited, I bet, to have her for 4 years. I know I would be.
A little late to that one. It remains 0-2. But the Seminoles have a penchant for getting out to early leads, for just pouring it on teams before they even seem to know what hit them. But Herzog comes forward complex, and number 4 FSU leads it 9-0. Meghan King continues to impress, just 63 pitches today. And the third member of our team, Tucker Pierce, has more on Meghan King and her impressive career.
Sean, Meghan King has just been a lightning rod at Florida State throughout her entire career. Dating back to her redshirt sophomore year, Meghan posted a 1.50 ERA, and from there on, she just seems to be progressing better and better every year. Not only has she performed in the College World Series multiple times for the Florida State Seminoles, but going into this season, it seems like she hasn't let up. She's just gotten that much better. And for opposing hitters, it's making it that much harder as she stays here at Florida State.
Yeah, absolutely, Tucker. And there you see the national championship banner once again from the hitting facility. And now here comes the NC State Wolfpack needing a run in the top of the 5th. Otherwise, it's over. Run rule victory for the Seminoles and a quick night's work for Meghan King, who's only needed 65 pitches so far.
She's been remarkable so far tonight, really just continuing the work that she's put in all off season. She's riding that way from last year's World Series run, and like Tucker said, she's been phenomenal, even better. This has been her best year yet. She's well on her way to becoming an All-American this season, in my opinion. And she's been virtually unhittable today.
And you can tell she's just having a horrible time out there in the circle, just looking
It's
at
tough.
looking at the smiles. I mean, I think it's one of those nervous smiles. She just doesn't know what else to do
Yeah, bless her heart.
to hide her real feelings about this, you know. Back to work, though. Now she's locked in and still smiling.
She's having fun.
And that's a great place to be, too. As a hitter, as a
Absolutely.
pitcher, I mean, that's, you know, sometimes these things get so intense that we forget that they're supposed to be fun.
Absolutely, and with how big college softball's gotten really across the country, you're seeing a lot of people really just those nerves and that anxiety can kind of take over a lot of big-time games. And what's so fun to watch about this Florida State group is they have so much fun at all times. And I know winning's a lot of fun, but there's always smiles to go around when you're talking about the Noles.
1-2 the count here to Rizzi. Angie Rizzi, the center fielder, goes down swinging. Another strikeout for Meghan King, her 9th.
She has been absolutely on fire today, that at-bat. Just a continuation of what we've seen really all night from Meghan King. She's throwing the heat, and it's really efficient, really fun to watch.
That ball fouled off and back by Natalie Jones.
This home plate ump right now is getting a little bit beat up behind the plate. That's the second one that he's taken off his mask. Catcher Anna Shelnutt's going to give him just a minute.
Robert Guest not feeling like a very welcome guest here at the Seminole Softball Complex. Yeah, that'll hurt.
Yep. He'll feel that one tomorrow morning, I'm sure.
So he'll shake the cobwebs loose, and there you see again Robert Guest, our home plate umpire. Emerus Addison over at first, Ron Alexander at third. There you see the gentleman representing the ACC making some calls. Meghan King's trying to make their day as uneventful as possible here in the tops of these innings at the Seminole Softball Complex.
And after that swing from Jones, I'm sure he's happy he's not the one behind the plate at this point.
There's a reason why he's smiling over there. Natalie Jones had her best season at the plate in her entire college career last season. Was looking to build on that. Hit .227 last year. Hitting in the 200s again this year, trying to keep the Wolfpack alive. We'll see what adjustments this team can make. Last weekend, Notre Dame came in, dropped game 1, and won game 2. In all likelihood, we'll see Sydney Nestor get her first appearance in the circle against a top 5 conference foe. See if she can confuse the Seminole hitters, but just the beginning of a very long weekend between a team that's very much on the rise and one who's trying to stay at the summit. We're seeing much better at-bats here from these Wolfpack hitters, too.
Yeah, they're making contact. They're barely missing right now. They've made adjustments. You can tell first, second time through the lineup. And we've got a really good at-bat brewing here.
But down she goes. Strikeout number 10 for Meghan King, and now the Seminoles are 1 out away from another win. And oh, by the way, yeah, we're not going to mention it, but there's a certain number there in a column that we're going to be paying attention to again for Meghan King.
She has been so outstanding today. She's getting ahead. She's using really all of her pitches. We've seen her go to the curveball. We've seen her go to the rise ball. Seen her go to the drop. She's really working all quadrants of the zone. She's getting a lot of swings and misses. And if you're a Florida State fan, you've got to love what you're seeing out of Meghan King right now. She's locked in.
Strike one. Jessica Moore, the senior from Northridge, California, coming in to pinch hit. As that one's fouled off, it's 0-2. The Seminoles have 3 no-hitters on the season as a staff. Meghan King has 3 in her career. And now she has 4. Meghan King with the 3rd no-hitter for the Seminoles in the past week. And they win it 9-0 over the visiting Wolfpack.
Absolutely incredible performance by Meghan King today, getting a ton of swings and misses, using all of her pitches when she needed to. And this is a really, really tough hitting team from NC State that she was able to keep quiet all night long.
So the smiles bright and wide, maybe perhaps a state of disbelief, because at this point in time, 3 no-hitters in a week?
Has that ever been done before? I don't know.
I don't know. Scott Moriak does a great job next door for Sports Info. We'll have to see if that's ever happened. I'll take a look at some of the almanacs and the records, but my goodness.
Absolutely incredible. This Florida State team is absolutely untouchable right now. Can beat you in so many different ways with the bats, with the pitching. This team's clicking on all cylinders.
I wonder who Tucker's going to grab for player of the game.
I have no idea, but I'm willing to bet it's the pitcher that gave up absolutely nothing in the circle.